different reasons.
So your first trip was in Baja, Mexico, and then you came back from that. Then what was the next thing?
Oh man, that's going back a few years, huh?
Well, it was Ireland.
Ireland?
That was Ireland,
And
yeah,
then,
you
and
mentioned
then
that.
we went to a international BMW rally, and we met Stefan Knopf from Germany.
That's right.
He had a booth, and he was telling us about buying a motorcycle in Europe. And we talked to a few people and found out really what an amazingly easy process it was.
Instead of shipping it.
Instead of shipping a bike.
So now we're on our third vehicle. We bought one from another American from his place, and went over and stayed with him for a couple of days, got everything sorted out, and took off for a few months. And now we're on our third motorcycle, but we bought two from his place and another one just on our own from another American. And the process is super simple, super straightforward.
So that second bike, you bought it in Europe, so it's registered in Europe?
No, it's an American plated bike.
They're always been registered in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long can you keep that in Europe before that's a problem?
They don't track them.
They don't track them.
Oh, my goodness.
No TIP when you, I guess there's sort of one when you enter, but because of all the countries
being open bordered,
they don't track them, so they sort of disappear into the gray area.
I did not know this.
Hold on.
It's
not big. It's gone.
Spider?
No.
It's a bug. Okay. Okay, that's crazy. Yeah. So you actually have that vehicle there. Just.
It's my vehicle, just like I had shipped it, but without the shipping costs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A $1,500 2014 V-Strom 650, which is working great for us. Panniers, everything was on it.
Brilliant. But you didn't know that it was going to be easy in the start of that process. So it was a little bit of a gamble, but then it was a $1,500 gamble, so not that big.
The first one was a little more expensive.
Oh, okay.
And I think I paid maybe $2,500 for the first one, and
still
I didn't know exactly how the whole thing was going to work because no one really, except for Stefan, saying it was possible to do.
Yeah.
So we got there and just took off on it with some maps, and it became an amazing experience. And I think we're there I think this is our 9th time riding through Europe.
So it means that you, as American citizens, you have an American registered bike located in and insured in the U.S. or
no, not insured.
No, okay.
Doesn't need to be.
We don't have expensive bikes, so we get the liability insurance
locally.
And actually, in the state that we live in order to get the registration, you have to. You have to have it insured, but it's a $9 a year policy.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, really?
Yeah.
So to get the registration, you have to have an insurance certificate for $9.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we do that. We follow the laws of the U.S. to make sure
that your registration paper is legal.
Legal.
Right. I mean, it's not really looked at over here.
Right.
But if there's ever a problem, I want to make sure everything's legal.
Okay. Cool.
So we insure it there, and then when we come here, we get the green card insurance, the liability insurance, but we don't insure the motorcycle because it's basically I consider it a walk-away motorcycle.
But where do you actually get the green card insurance in Europe?
Bulgaria.
Yeah, we get it from Motor Camp Bulgaria because
there you go.
It's a little bit less expensive in some of the Eastern European countries than it is in the Western European countries because of
and it's the same insurance.
Cool.
Same insurance.
And then it seems like you stick with the same model, the Suzuki V-Strom 650.
Well, the first time was a Triumph Trophy 1200 Sport Tour.
Yeah.
And the second one was a V-Strom, and I have found the older model V-Stroms to be super, super dependable. And easily fixed and worked on so many different places. Yeah. That now, I mean, I'm on, this one is number 7, I think, that I have owned. And I still own 4.
Wow.
So one is in Colombia. I did sort of the same thing. I bought a motorcycle in Colombia.
American registered?
Yes.
No,
Colombia
this
registered.
one I became registered with the Colombian government, and it's Colombian registered, so I can leave it in Colombia long term without an import, since there's a 3-month limit for your TIPs in Colombia.
And then that's why you're going back to Colombia, right?
Going to spend 2 or 3 years just riding through South America.
Oh wow! When do you plan to do that?
December.
We'll take off for that. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be lovely.
So, we'll get back to the States in October. See our family, which we miss terribly, and sometimes feel guilty not being there.
Of course.
But
before I started the video, we were talking about finances, and I get those questions a lot, like how much do you spend on the road? And so I mentioned earlier that my daily budget is $60 US dollars, including everything you can think of. So that includes like visas, tires, spare parts, service, local insurance, including the insurance I have back home. And I find it's a little bit like, that's not a lot of money. Some people will be like, oh, that's like $65 US. I could live like a queen every day. But no, actually you can't, because you got to save in order to pay the visa for
visas and
exactly
tires and maintenance
that are very expensive. What is your daily budget
It used to be 50 when we first started out.
Oh wow!
And now we've now it's up to $65. We want to spend less than $65 per day as an average, and that's everything all in except for plane fares. We don't include plane fares because that would just you just can't include those things.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But that's all visas, maintenance, everything that we do on the road. And sometimes if we're in a rural tourist area and do something that wouldn't be in our budget, we don't put that in our budget. We take that out of our
balloon
travel,
flights in Cappadocia.
those
things are not
like that.
considered travel expenses.
Yeah, I don't put that in just because it screws up with the numbers for a regular travel.
Yeah.
So I just try to make it and we don't stay in crappy places. We'll try to stay in inexpensive places, but it doesn't take a whole bunch to make us happy. Clean sheets,
modern toilet,
a nice
hot
toilet,
shower.
and a hot shower is sometimes nice.
And depending on where you are, you have to have air conditioning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indonesia, I had to have air conditioning.
But it was everywhere.
Yeah.
So that wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
So we average. So in Turkey right now, I think we're right about at our limit of $65 a day for almost a month. Well, about 2.5 weeks in Turkey. But in Indonesia, our first month in Indonesia, I only spent $900 for the entire month.
Yeah, wow.
So that was very inexpensive. And then it got a little more expensive because I had injured myself and we spent some time in Bali. A little more expensive, so that the numbers went up a little bit more.
Right.
But so we try to keep we try to average everything over a year to $65.
65,
a day. Yeah.
So you mentioned an accident. Talk a little bit about what happened.
Well, I've had 2 sort of mishaps on this trip. The first one was in Indonesia. Well, they both happened in Indonesia. But early on the trip in Indonesia, I was getting out of a car. That's why you'd never ride in a car. I was getting out of a car and I tore my MCL on my right leg. And very painful. And
just like because your knee got twisted on the way getting out of the car?
Yeah, it got twisted or something, and it affects your lateral stability. So we rested it a few days, wrapped it real tight, and carried on. Then I got a little bit of an elastic brace for it, and some medicine that I can put on it, and rest and rehab, and it seems to be holding together right now. It wasn't going to stop our trip if we didn't need to. And then again, right at the end of our trip in Indonesia, Indonesia is well known for crazy traffic, and we were at a busy intersection. We were beside some cars, as all the scooters go around, they just jam around cars and everything, and making a left-hand turn. And a girl came, we were halfway into our left-hand turn, and a girl came wide around me, trying to pass me, and ran into my front tire.
Fucking hell.
Ran into the front tire, which turned it from a left-hand turn to a right-hand turn halfway through a corner.
No.
We weren't going fast, but I put out my leg and tried to keep it up as I was sort of riding along her scooter. And at the last minute, her scooter tipped over, ours went over, and I landed on my ribs. And a pannier landed on Melanie's toe, possibly breaking it. But it was more of a crush instead of like a displacement of her toe.
Right.
And my ribs just hurt. So we had an option of going to see a doctor there, but we had maybe 4 more days left on our visa that we had to leave. So even if something had gone, if we needed something done, we couldn't have gotten it done because our second visa was expiring.
Right.
So we decided to wait until Bulgaria to see if we were healing.
Okay.
And we got to Bulgaria and things were not any worse.
Okay.
Maybe feeling a little bit better. So we've just carried on.
Okay. Wow. That's quite the scare, huh?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It always surprises me in countries where there is no safety net, that often I find that they drive even crazier than we do in countries where there is a safety net.
Yeah.
You probably have medical insurance, I'm guessing, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And she doesn't.
Yeah.
So let me ask about that medical insurance, because we had a conversation earlier today about medical traveling with or without a medical insurance. Let me hear your opinion about that.
Okay. Well,
We think it's a must.
yeah.
We not only carry regular for medical care, but we have evac insurance as well. And the policy that we have,
Evacuation.
yes,
Evacuation.
evacuation insurance. And the policy that we have not only covers us, it covers our motorcycle. So if we have an accident out of the country, if he's the one who gets hurt, it'll take care of him medically to get him back to the States, but it'll also pay for me to get back. It'll pay for our motorcycle to come back, even though we wouldn't want our bike to come back to the U.S. It would pay for that if we would want to ship our bike back to the States. But for us, traveling is risky anyway. And if you are stuck in a country where you're going to have to pay your own medical expenses, there are places that will not touch you unless you pay the bill ahead of time. We've heard of places where ambulances won't take you unless you pay them on site.
And even with our insurance, it's a reimbursement policy. So if we were to get injured and need an ambulance ride or care in a hospital, we have to pay for it cash. And to me, I think carrying insurance is part of being a responsible traveler. A lot of these countries have a hard time even taking care of their people.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be fair for them to feel a responsibility to take care of myself.
So let's say you are in Malawi, in Africa, a place where a lot of people struggle, and you were to be treated in a hospital, and then you run away from that bill. That's not okay.
No, that's not okay.
That's not okay
I mean,
to that
it's
country.
a way to deal with it. There are travelers that deal with things that way. We'll just run away and never go back.
Yeah.
To me, that's just being an irresponsible traveler.
Not okay.
You know?
Yeah.
No, if you've got the money to travel, you need to be able to take care of yourself also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I am lucky that I have third-party liability with my bike, but I also have full coverage with my bike, with the insurance I have in Denmark. I haven't heard of any other insurance companies that do that. Do you have that? Is your bike fully covered?
No. I don't.
No.
I think I only have one bike that's even worth covering.
Yeah.
So all my bikes are older model bikes, and I mean that's how we afford to travel. But
I think that's how most people travel. I think it's a little bit of an exception. There's this one Danish company that offers full coverage, and I think they just kind of have so few customers who travel the world that they just didn't make an exceptional rule for that.
Yeah.
So I called them. I was like, are you really sure you're going to cover me fully if I have an accident with the motorcycle in freaking Saudi Arabia? And they're like, yeah, doesn't matter where you are in the world, we're going to cover you. I'm like, really? Okay. You got a customer.
yeah.
But I think that's not really normal.
No.
I think a lot of people got a little bit of an eye-opener during COVID.
Yeah.
People who were forced to walk away from a bike because land borders were closing, countries were having foreigners evacuated. We got lucky and found someone through Horizons in Portugal to take our bike when we had to catch the last plane out of Lisbon.
Wow.
And didn't get back for 2 years.
Wow.
So we were lucky enough not to have a temporary import that we had to deal with. Because we have friends who have lost bikes because they couldn't
had
get
very
them.
difficult times with the government.
Getting bikes, and if you had a $25,000 motorcycle, good luck.
A lot of money to lose.
Okay, so thanks for that, Q. Because earlier today also we talked about gear, like state-of-the-art bike and gear, and traveling long-term. To my opinion, there's a huge difference between being on let's say, a 2-month trip. A 2-month trip is already like a long trip. And then being on for my sake, now 3-year trip, but then for you, way longer, right? Like you just said 12, 13 years? Yeah. You go back and forth sometimes.
We go back and forth to the country.
Yeah,
so,
but you're basically traveling.
Yeah, sort of
where it's like the perfect gear only lasts that long. And if your perfect gear is breaking in Uganda, you're gonna have to replace it. You're not gonna find that perfect gear there. Then so now what do you do?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm putting words in your mouth here. I hope not. But what is your opinion about that?
Well, we get asked a lot, how can we afford to travel? And my first statement for long-term travel is you have to have no debt. I mean, if you're paying money out versus the money coming in, it's easier to not have to pay have as low of a debt that you can manage. And having, we ride an inexpensive motorcycle. I end up buying gear when it wears out, and I usually find some place that's going to give me, not give me gear, but I get a discount because it's been rained on or water. It's usually new gear when I buy it. But if we were to ride, our motorcycles are inexpensive. This motorcycle I'm riding now is $1,500 US. But if I were to be limited in my income and wanting to do a long trip, but buying a brand new $25,000 motorcycle or having the best gear, which might cost $3,000, $3,500 with the new boots and a new helmet, I mean, you've got a lot of money going out that I think if your desire is to travel and that is your passion, then you need to make your choices. And to us, my passion was to travel. It wasn't to have the best gear. It wasn't have the proper motorcycle for overlanding. I mean, this motorcycle, it does good.
I think it's very proper. Probably pretty perfect for a 2-up.
Yeah. So it works for us. I mean, it's not for everybody, but I tell a lot of people the same thing. If you have to make your choices and your decisions as what your passion is and what you want in life. And then you go for that.
Because it is compromises, isn't it? Like, you're never gonna, it's the same with the bike, because one day you're gonna go on a dirt road, it's difficult, next day you're gonna go on the perfect asphalt curve, and your bike is not gonna be perfect for all of that. And it's the same with my choice, a Honda CRF 250L. People ask me even like, can you really travel that far on a 250? And I'm like, what do you think the guys in the countries I traveled through, like, I haven't been to India yet, but there, of course, there's a lot of motorcycles. Like, what kind of motorcycles do you think people are on there? And they travel hundreds of kilometers with work or whatever they do. Like, nobody needs all those CC. It's just, I don't know.
Mean, we just bought a motorcycle in Indonesia. We came here from Indonesia, and we had bought a motorcycle in Indonesia, and it was an Indian-made 220. And we traveled 2-up for 2 months. In Indonesia, 4 or 5 different islands. Had a great time, and sold the motorcycle when we left. And it was perfect. It was perfect for the trip. I wouldn't have wanted a bigger motorcycle because you don't have room for a bigger motorcycle, and you stand out on a bigger motorcycle when everybody. If I was on a bigger motorcycle, even a 650, I would have been in such a small percentage of the population. I mean, I stood out because I had boots and gear on. So, I mean, on a big motorcycle.
They knew we were from Indonesia.
But it was the perfect motorcycle because I think we averaged maybe 20 kilometers per hour for the entire trip. So, I mean, when you're putzing along and your top speed is maybe 45, 50 kilometers per hour for a day.
And that bike can be fixed there.
It can be fixed
right.
everywhere.
So if you brought I have absolutely no problem with BMW or anything, so it's not about the brand, but I'm just thinking, if you bring a brand new BMW there, who's gonna fix it for you? Who's gonna? Nobody has the computer to do the diagnosis on what's, so you're really just getting into trouble that way if you bring.
I had a problem with the BMW. I was riding a BMW in South Africa, and the front brake line broke. And you'd think it would be a fairly simple fix.
Yeah, in South Africa, I would think it would be easy,
And I went to a BMW dealership. I can't remember the country in the city, it was around George. And they told me they didn't have the part, and it would be about 3 months to get the part in.
Oh, gee.
So I went to another place, and they made one.
Fabricated.
And had it, and we were on the road. So,
Yeah, that's amazing. Anyways, thanks a lot for your insights. It's really inspiring for me to listen.
Great seeing you again.
It's amazing. It's so cool. So cool. I can't believe we're meeting here again in Turkey.
Yeah,
anyways, we still have quite the job to do because the tire is off. We still have to put the tube in and see if we can get everything back on without pinching the tube with this horrible Mitas E09. It's a great tire riding, but it's a fucked up tire to fix. But let's see if we can do it. We have quite a lot of vodka in our blood, so I think that's going to help us a lot. I think, right?
Yeah, we'll get it done.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Do you want to hold it there?
Oh, yeah.
I think this might not be
that green thing can just come.
Let's just leave it there.
Yeah, I think once it blows up, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
once we get the tube in,
Yeah,
and it blows up, it'll just press down on it.
Exactly.
We'll just make sure the patch isn't against that.
Yeah.
Because the extra weight.
Cool.
Turn this upside.
So the situation is that my backup tube that was pinched when I tried to put it on at the hotel in Kurdistan.
Bye-bye.
Is leaking. So we are now trying to fix that one. So we're now patching 2 tubes. So good that we are here on this nice
2 tubes and
campground.
a tire.
2 tubes and a
What
tire.
can go wrong?
Alright, so it seems like this tube is holding up well. So we're gonna go with this one. What just rolled in here in the middle of the workshop? Mark?
Mark, yeah.
Mike.
From Spain.
From Spain.
Welcome. Wow, what a bike. I think we're pretty happy now. I mean, we should maybe just leave it for a few hours and let's see what's happening, but
We could do that. We'll check the pressure in a bit.
I guess, because it's no point in
Better
putting,
know now than
if
tomorrow morning.
we have the slow leak. Repair is done. We're gonna wait with putting on the tire and just see if it actually holds air. And in the meantime, we're gonna get in this freezing lake. Ah! How did we do?
We did good.
I think we did good. Yeah, we have been letting it lie there for a while.
Yep.
It's holding air, so I actually think we did a really good job. Now let's see when I get out on the road.
Yeah. See you tomorrow morning. Hopefully good.
I know, you're just gonna tighten this one, tighten the pinch bolts, and then we are all finished and we're ready to do another barbecue.
Another one.
are we
No barbecue tonight. They're cooking, but a campfire on the beach.
Amazing. Yay!
Maybe
These guys are leaving us. Don't go. Unpack again, please. So you guys are heading to Van today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You're going for the famous breakfast?
For the famous breakfast.
Right. All right, enjoy. Enjoy Georgia.
Till the next time on the road.
Exactly. Be careful with that vodka, okay?
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
Goodbye.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What's going on? Watching the Ellies, huh? Watching the show. This is definitely better than television. Oh my goodness. That is Bush TV. BushTV.com.